Thank you, Mr. President. Members, you never know where to follow up on issues as hard as this. And the last 2 days have been difficult, uncomfortable, not what any of us as elected officials saw rising to a level to have that discussion. I respect every one of the folks that have spoke against the bill. I know where their motives are, and I know where their heart is. My motives have been challenged, frankly, a little bit. So I'm going to take a little time to explain, as Paul Harvey would say, the other side of the story. Because there is another side of the story, and it's not just this issue that seems to consistently, for the last years, several years, if not decades, that's an erosion of why people that would believe this is a good bill to do are losing voice, losing perspective. And I want to be clear. I don't dislike transgender people. I don't dislike the LGBTQ community. That's not what my faith tells me to do. First of all, you'd be surprised. I have some very personal stories, very close associations that fit those categories. So a couple of things just as a practical matter. The surveys or the statistics that we used were multiple. They weren't a single one. They basically went from 73% up to as high as 88% of those that truly didn't do it after they went through puberty or had time. So we can argue data points as a practical application. We can do a lot of things. As a practical matter, hysterectomy, double mastectomy, infertility, castration are all terms we associate with removing something that's harmful. And it's permanent. And it's not a good proposition to be in when you're having to deal with those issues. All 1646 did is say, before we do that, let's make sure the individual that's going to be done on is mature enough to understand infertility, to understand that where they look at today is maybe where they think they want to be, and if that's okay at a mature level to get that, they should do that. But I don't know many folks, and I understand the community that we're talking about would argue differently, but it's hard for me as a parent to ever want to subject my children to that process or those procedures, those multiple surgeries and drug therapies that are lifetime, thinking I'm doing them good. And maybe that's just me, Senator Whitmire, that I don't know everything inside, but as a practical matter. But let me go back to motive real quick. It was asked if this was a moral issue. I said you can't separate the moral side of this conversation. I didn't go there yesterday because it really wasn't what the bill was about. The bill was about making sure that as these decisions are made, that they're made in an environment where everyone that's going to be impacted understands, including the child, understands. So we're not doing anything but giving the child options. As a parent, we want our kids to have all kinds of options. But when they get to the maturity level and they choose to do that, that's an informed decision. When they do it before that, and there's regrets, and statistically, whether you agree with the numbers or not, there's none of them that says this is a 50-50. There's none of them that says this is a 20-80. All of them say a majority of kids don't follow through. I don't care if it's one. I want that child to be informed, engaged, and have options. Now, my motive, and it's my motive for the reason I advocate for the unborn. It's my motive why I try to live a decent testimony and witness in my actions, my language. I fell short every day in meeting those goals. But from a Christian faith perspective, when you hear us have these kind of conversations, it's not anti. The number one command is you shall place no gods before me. Idolatry is a God that is not something that you will be rewarded for. And as back in the fall, and I'm preaching a little bit, but when that decision was made to take off on our own path and separate from His protections, we opened the door for all of these things. We opened up a mind that was creative enough and magnificent enough to send a man to the moon. At the same time, we opened up a mind that can design a bomb that can wipe out 100,000 people. And it's in that realm of secular humanism that I deal with, where my faith meets the road. And I will always, no matter how sensitive and no matter how hard, I'll never run from the opportunity to recognize I am answerable to one thing and one thing only, and that's a sovereign creator that says, y'all chose your own way, here's a path out of it, and you're going to have to live with the consequences in between. We've evolved as a people to be intellectually superior in our own minds to God. We now know best, and we now try to reverse His creations. I sympathize, I empathize, and I also pray for, and I also hurt for those examples. But we don't have the right to be God when it comes to creation. We are a sinful state, and we're reaping the consequences of it. To have these conversations tells me how far off track that I believe we're viewed as or will be viewed as. So my motive is not political. My motive is not to harm. And you, I think, very eloquently said, Senator Johnson, we just don't know what we don't know. That the data is incomplete. Exactly my point. This is really kind of a new agenda. It's got traction. And I do agree, fads and those things. I fully understand the sincerity and the desire of those parents in this situation. Never would question that. But what we don't know is what we don't know. And my fear is, as thing continues to grow and these events currently happen, that we will look back in 10 years and have more problems with those people that wish they had not done it. And the suicide rates, as we all talk about, will be even twice what they are today, which is above normal. But that's with or without this issue. So you can do anything you want to me. I'm willing to be persecuted. That's okay. It comes with the territory. And I'm not self-righteous and pious position to say I'm the judge here. I'm just telling you my faith says I have to advocate for a sovereign creator that created me and all of that's good. And man screwed that up. And when you do that, there are consequences. And these consequences play out in conversations like this. And I will not be silent. I will not run from advocating for a God that says nobody before me. And as well-intended as our medical profession is, and the folks that get tied up in these conversations and discussions and lives and things, they have decided that they're smarter than our Creator. So that's my motive. Like it or love it, I will be consistent. Like me or love me, I will be consistent. I got nothing to lose and everything to answer for. I pray, as John said, that these families can figure it out. I will be here to help if there's anything I can do. But nowhere in good conscience can I think I can sleep well at night knowing that there are children that are going to have irreparable things done to their bodies, physically and otherwise, chemically, that they may not have decided if they had the capacity to know what was coming. And I'm sad that we're here. I'm sad this is a conversation. But don't question my motives. Because I know where my heart is, and I know why I believe what I believe, and I know whether I'm right or wrong, this is what I'm called to do today on these issues. And that's all I can add to the conversation. I thank you for listening for me. I wish we were not here. For every perspective, there's a counter perspective that's counterproductive. But don't question my motives. Thank you, Mr. President.